color. It matters because it really creates a difference between what we see as the baseline, which is easy, and what we've calibrated for everyone in this situation, light skin with a little bit darker hair, from what we see as challenging, things like dark hair or dark skin. It's another way that we build subtly and unconsciously in the background that people with brown skin are more challenging, or they're more difficult, or they are different than the baseline.
Welcome to the Common Sense Philosophy channel. Today's title is Kodak, the Shirley card. Kodak, the Shirley card. I know there's a lot of people talking about this Shirley card, and I heard things about it, but I didn't really think it was true. But now I see that it is true, that Kodak had a woman named Shirley Page, and they used her skin color, and she was a Caucasian woman, as the measurement of a great picture. So that's how they would colorize. That's how they would do everything off of Shirley Page's image and skin and complexion. So a lot of times when you look at your great grandparents or even some of your grandparents' pictures, you see that their darker skin would be more smudgy and it would look kind of funny. And it was because the way they colorized things. So just on that is a little racist. And if that don't get you, as far as it being racist, they didn't actually change anything until it's not like over time they said, okay, let's do better by people of color. No, what happened was that Caucasian people that was trying to sell their chocolates or their dark furniture or things like that, they couldn't photograph their product because of the darker colors or the different colors and hues of their product. So they went to Kodak and we got to do something different. So because of that and that only, they decided to come up with other ways. And they came up with a picture of a black woman, a picture of an Asian woman, a white woman, and try to change the cards. But by then we was already on our way into digital. So it didn't quite really hit like it was supposed to. But it's crazy just to think that Kodak had this problem. You just wouldn't have thought that this is what they'd have been doing. But I guess if you really do think, they would, because that was the time period. History is something. You'll find yourself really seeing some things that you're like, wow. And that's why we need documentaries to be documentaries. But that's a whole nother conversation. But thanks for coming to the Common Sense Philosophy channel. Like I said, today is about Kodak, the Shirley card. Learn more about it. Here's some more clips. Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe on your way out. Appreciate it. Talk to y'all later. Yep.
Did you know that when color film was originally invented, Kodak made these things called Shirley cards? And the purpose of Shirley cards was to ensure that the film was calibrated correctly for skin tones in photographs. The Shirley cards, as you can see here, were of a white woman with brunette hair, and that was supposed to ensure the right skin color and hair color in pictures so that you could clearly see the image. Because both the film and the process of developing were developed for whiter skin, it made it harder to see darker skin and all of the nuance there. Much later, a Shirley card that had 3 different types of skin tone was developed so that there would be greater variability in how the film was calibrated. The argument being that if you hit toward the middle, then you're going to get it mostly right. And with the advent of digital photography, things didn't really get better. Things like smartphones still struggle to pick up darker skin tones as well. And if you've ever been on a video call with someone with darker skin and you haven't been able to see their face because of the backlighting or the situations around them, you might fault their skin for that. But really, it's the fact that photography hasn't put much effort into catching up there. So when you're looking at photographs of darker skinned people, I challenge you this Black History Month to try to really find the detail in their faces and find the photographers that are capturing those details in ways that are showcasing the humanity of the individual.
Going all the way back to the 1950s in the days of strictly film photography, and we are talking about Kodak, who was the most prolific film producer of that time. So Kodak needed to develop a system for color calibration for their film development and printing. The solution that they came up with was the Shirley card, so named after Shirley Page, who was an employee of Kodak at the time. So basically the labs would calibrate the colors of their printer to match up with the colors of the Shirley card as a sort of standard to make sure that your film photos looked good. But I'm sure you can see by all these different iterations of Shirley cards why that was a problem. So when Black people would take photos of their family on vacation, when they got those images back from the lab, they didn't look good because the measuring stick with which the colors were being developed against was created with white skin in mind. This was extra true for photos that featured a Black and a white person because the white person is going to be exposed correctly with accurate skin tone, and the Black person's skin tone is going to be all wrong, or they're going to be so underexposed that there's no detail in their face and all you can see are their teeth. Thanks to Professor Lorna Roth at Concordia University, we know for a fact that Kodak received complaints from their Black clients during this time, but they didn't do anything about it. This was, after all, America at the height of segregation. Kodak finally took steps to address this color bias in the 1970s, but it wasn't because of the complaints of their Black clients. It was because furniture companies and chocolate companies were complaining that the film stocks available didn't allow them to show the differences in light and dark wood grain or milk and dark chocolate. So in the 1980s, Kodak released a new film stock with a wider dynamic range, which meant it was able to better portray deeper red and brown tones. By the way, that film stock is called Kodak Gold Max. In the 1990s, Kodak finally developed a multiracial Shirley card, which featured a white woman, a Black woman, and an Asian woman.
Have you ever heard of a Shirley card? No? Okay. Let me introduce you to Big Shirley, is what I like to call her. So this is the Shirley card. It is a reference card, a calibration tool that if you were a photo tech in a lab back in the 1950s, this is what you would use to make sure that you were developing film accurately. Okay. So making sure all the colors were where they should be, the tones, the skin. And so this would work really well if you look like Shirley. But if you had darker skin, a lot of times the photos just would not come out as accurately as they should. Sometimes folks would be a little bit darker than they should be. The tones wouldn't register. That melanin was not really hidden. And so around the 90s, they started adding a multicultural Shirley. Okay, so they realized that it was a problem. They started using these cards, but around the same time, digital photography started to become more of the norm anyway. And as you may have guessed it, some of that same technological bias made its way into camera sensor.
You ruin your reality real quick. You know why old pictures made Black people look gray or ashy?
Guys, you know me. You know, one of my passions in life and what I do a YouTube channel on is photography, or at least cameras. And did you guys know that photography, or the development of photos, was built on race or racism? Her video, that's why I'm stitching it, explains it. It's called the Shirley card, and it sucks. It really is. I'm not going to dive deep into it at all because she does a great job explaining it. And it sucks because you know how I feel about racism. And I love photography. I love photos. But history is history.